Hello again, and welcome back to Illegally Cited. This is Jesse, and I am back for another channel update slash random topic video. Lots of little stuff to talk about here today, so we'll just get right into it here. Before I go any further, though, I want to give my usual kind of overview and introduction. The first, thank you to everybody who has been supporting my work, supporting the channel. Whether you just found the channel in the last week or have been here forever, hey, you know what? It's all right. Thank you for the support. Thank you for the views and subscribes and everything like that. Very much appreciated. I've gotten some nice feedback and comments through social media, through comments, through email. So again, very much appreciated. I did look just before starting this video, and it looks like we are just under 100 subscribers away from 4,000. So I don't care if we do hit it or not, but it would be really, really cool if we could hit 4K by the end of the year. That would be a pretty sweet milestone. So hey, you know what? Let's see if we can do it. But yeah, thank you to everybody. For anyone new to Illegally Cited, I do unlock videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. I will sometimes unlock bonus videos for you guys, maybe during a holiday, or if there's a special event happening, something really, really cool happens in the area of accessibility, game accessibility, tech accessibility, or just something really really relevant happens that I just have to talk about, we'll get some bonus videos. And as many games as have been coming out the last couple of months, September and October, there's been quite a few bonus videos the last couple of months. And so hopefully things will be slowing down a little bit now. I think we're through most of the rush this fall. But yeah, so lots of game videos, lots of demo videos. Definitely catch up on some of those if you missed them. Speaking of, well, everything also is divided into playlists. So if you're wondering what kind of content I do cover, definitely check out the playlists tab of the channel because I have everything divided into playlists. We've got low vision accessible games that people can play if they have some usable vision. We've got accessible games that are playable for totally blind players. We've got some kind of geeky stuff. We've got some assistive technology. We've got virtual reality, game accessibility, tech accessibility. I mean, there's all kinds of different. There's too many to even name these days. We have a playlist dedicated exclusively to the Toby accessibility mod for Doom. And I also want to bring up a new playlist that I just created because there are now 4 videos in that playlist, and that is dedicated to the Be My AI feature of the Be My Eyes app. And if you haven't checked those out yet, I highly recommend it because this is a very, very cool feature for an app that is both on Android and iOS. And yeah, the Be My AI feature, I'm still impressed. I'm still pretty enthralled with it. I have 3 official videos covering some major use cases for it, recognizing pictures that you take with your camera or recognizing pictures that are already on your device, like from your photo library, social media, the web, all those types of things. And then the recent one that I did was for other like graphical information like charts, graphs, schematics, diagrams, maps, all these visual types of ways of displaying information that are largely inaccessible to blind and even low vision users. I find a lot of those graphical types of information to be difficult even with the usable vision that I do have. So definitely check out the Be My Eyes playlist and those 4 videos because I have one additional video that I will again bring your attention to, and I use the app to recognize one of my absolute favorite pieces of gaming memorabilia, shall we say, ever. Um, I ordered some cool little Doom related things from the Romero website not terribly long ago. And I got those items, which I will probably do a video for in the near future. But in addition to the items that I ordered, I got a card, a handwritten, signed card from the John Romero, one of the core dudes that created the original Doom games and all the early id titles. But I got a signed, handwritten, basically like a thank you card from him for the Toby Accessibility Doom mod. And that, I'm not trying to say this for clout, for bragging rights, for whatever, but that meant, man, that meant a lot, to be, acknowledged by one of the game's creators. Um, basically he said, thank you for creating, thank you for this mod. It's important for the players who need it. And the handwritten signature with the pentagram, it was just really, really, really cool to see. And again, this isn't just for me because yes, I helped with the mod, but again, I have to definitely shout out to Mr. Alan D1 and his team, because they are the ones that actually created the thing. And I did send him, after recording that video, I sent him that information. I sent him a couple of pictures that I took of the card, and I sent him a link to the video that I posted on the channel about that. And reading his reply was like, he was just as excited as I was. Like I saw that like mid-morning that day, and I sent it to him, I think like early afternoon, late morning. And I got an email from him that evening, and I was just on cloud nine all day. I'm like, man, that's so freaking cool. And even him, he's like, whoa, that is amazing. I'm like freaking out over here, geeking out over here. Totally get it. Totally get it. So thank you, John Romero. Thank you, Mr. LND1. Thank you to all of his other developers. Awesome. So yeah, check that video out. I did a thing with Seeing AI to show you what the card was. Very, very cool. I've got a lot of, again, with so many games coming out, Low Vision, a couple accessible games, there's just so much stuff coming out. The apps, definitely check out some of the latest videos. We've got some demos, we've got some retro shooters, we've got, again, things like Forza Motorsport. There's been a good number of accessible games this year, and I'm going to talk about that in a later topic for this video too. Yeah, go back and check out some of those videos. So that's kind of a channel update. As far as things that are coming up for the channel, like I said, I think now that we're like, God, almost midway through November, time is just going by way too fast. I think things are going to finally slow down. We've got most of our releases out this year. We've got a couple in like either later this month, or there's like one or two in December that I'm sort of curious about. But most of the big games are out. Most of even the indie games are out. So now it's just kind of kicking back and trying to find time to play them all and finish the games that I've started. Play some of the games I haven't even gotten around to yet. Maybe watch for some sales that I just, there's plenty of games that I just skipped over because, hey, why pay full price for a game I'm not going to have time to get around to anyway? So there's a few games I'd like to, get around to. I kind of, even though I know it's going to be hard, I kind of want to check out that Armored Core game because I love the idea of it, and I hope it's something I could potentially play. I would like to play the Resident Evil 4 remake. I'm trying to remember. There's one or two other ones that I mean, if Baldur's Gate went on sale for dirt cheap, I would like to maybe try that, but there's so much text and everything in the UI and really not much of anything for accessibility features. I hesitate to buy it other than in a deep sale just because I don't know how easy it's going to be for me to even play. So we'll see what happens maybe around Black Friday if there are some deep discounts for some of those types of games. But yeah, um, hopefully things are going to slow down a little bit. Um, I'm actually kind of looking forward to that because aside from work and everything else, like I said, these last couple of months I've been cranking out videos like crazy. So yeah, it'll be nice to kind of slow things down a bit. But we still do have. I'm trying to figure out what I want to do for the end of year wrap up series. I've been creating this notepad file of just trying to keep track of all the just mainstream games, accessible games, retro first person shooters, some of the highlights from my personal year, some of the like there's been a lot as far as like gaming related movies and TV shows this year. You know, we've had the like Twisted Metal, the Gran Turismo, Mario movie. We've had The Last of Us. I can't believe The Last of Us series was this year. That seems like ages ago. Um, but there's been, you know, a lot of different game related content this year outside of games itself. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna have to start recording those videos at some point here in the next month or so. So figuring out what I want to do for that. And of course, this year is Doom. Speaking of Doom, Doom's 30th anniversary. Happy freaking birthday, Doom. My favorite game ever. 30 years later, it's even playable for blind players, which is amazing. And that is going to be on December 10th. I'm trying to decide what I want to do. I don't know if I'm actually going to stream. I don't know if I'm just going to create a YouTube video or videos. I do know that John Carmack and John Romero are going to be doing their own stream on the 10th where they go back and they talk about um, the they talk about the 30th anniversary of Doom's development, some of their memories. I'm absolutely going to be there for that. So maybe I will either record or stream that, and then maybe I can play a little bit of maybe some Knee Deep in the Dead, the best episode of a retro first person shooter ever. I still love Knee Deep in the Dead. Maybe look at a little bit of Toby. um, I don't know, but I'm going to be watching that stream. I'm going to absolutely be doing something for the 30th anniversary of Doom because, come on, how can I not? How can I not? So that's something to look forward to. That's something that I got to figure out. So that's what's going on with the channel. Yeah, lots of stuff. So now we get into everything else. And again, I want to get some of the negative stuff out of the way first. I feel like I have to say something. I have to acknowledge, as amazing as this year is for gamers, for players, because it's been one hell of a year for games. Not just accessible games, but just games in general. Um, there's so many indie games, AAA games, even what you would kind of call, what you used to call AA games. There's some mid-tier games that are just amazing this year. And I'll talk about those in a minute. But um, despite all that awesomeness, it's been one of the worst years for game developers. It's been one of the worst years for people, professionals in the gaming industry, whether it's development, PR, QA, just everything. The amount there's been a few tweets that have been going around. Like I retweeted, I think one or two of them a couple weeks ago. I mean, the amount of game studios, and I know it's like people, during the pandemic, companies were ramping up, like, oh, well, we can just, we can start hammering through and hiring people, and, games are getting, people are at home, so they need to play more games and whatever. but that's what I hate about all these big business and executive types is, it's like, well, let's look at what'll affect us right now for like the next month, 6 months tops, whatever. And who cares about the future? I just want all the money and I want it all now. So they do that, and then, people start going back to normal. People are not locked in their homes anymore. People need to go back to work. They need to like get back out in the real world again. And so, yeah, we still play video games, but it's not quite the um, thing that it was a couple years ago. So, but there, in addition to that, there's just all these layoffs. It's like they make all these decisions and buyouts and everything, and then we never see the executives. We never see the heads of these companies. Oh, they gotta keep making their profits. They gotta make their bonuses, and even if they screw up a company, they get their golden parachutes and whatever. And the developers, the QA, the people on the ground floor that actually make the games, no, they just get shat on all the time, and they're the first ones to be let go. And then they wonder, it's like, well, now we need to create a new game. How are we going to do it? Because we got rid of our team that we just built. Well, gee. So, yeah, I mean, I feel bad for all the people. I mean, I won't even pretend to try to name all the companies that had just massive layoffs this year. It's really pretty ugly. Um, and that has to change. I mean, whether it's we get some gaming unionization, we get some gaming unions or something that can help. But like I said, it's just this damn executive greed. Oh, we can't just be happy with making money. We have to make all the money. And it has to go to the shareholders. It has to go to the executives. It has to go to the heads of the companies. Who cares about the people that actually, like we wouldn't even have a job if it weren't for the people making this stuff. That just really, I mean, and then it's not just games. Like, I mean, a lot of industries, pretty much every industry is like that to some degree. It's just, I have this almost hatred for these big business types that it's all about the profits and all about them over everything else. Um, and then they screw up a company and then they go and then but then some other company's dumb enough to hire them back and go, well, they did it over there, but they won't possibly do that to us, right? And then they go around and do it again. Like, quit hiring these idiots. Stop hiring these people. Lord knows they've made enough money they can just sit and retire as it is. Don't let them ruin another company. Which brings me to another buyout that on some levels makes sense to me, but on some levels I get nervous because especially with buyouts, I tend to get nervous about these. Um, Digital Eclipse. I've talked a lot about them in the last couple of years because they've done some amazing preservation and amazing game compilation work. We've got the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Cowabunga collection. We've had Atari 50. Awesome interactive documentary. The Making of Karateka, that came out earlier this year. Again, using that same Atari 50 format. Awesome documentary. They've got this whole series that they're starting. Well, that company, in addition to New Blood, which they're doing amazing work too, both of those got bought out by Atari. And like I like kind of where Atari is going. They were all over the place even a couple of years ago. They were doing these like Atari themed hotels that was just a really bad idea and all kinds of weird stuff. But I guess they got some new leadership, and the person, that leader, he's kind of going down the right angle. It's like, you know what? There is some nostalgia there. We should be preserving some of this old gaming stuff, whether it's Atari, whether it's just retro gaming in general. Um, and so if that's the route they're going to do, I mean, if they've got that Atari was it the Atari? It's basically the Atari 2600 or Atari VCS um, HD console. I think that's coming out like literally this week or something like that, where you can play the original cartridges and everything. It's kind of like a HDMI supported um, version of the Atari 2600. So going down that route, whether they put out little arcade cabinets or anything like that. So them buying out companies or buying companies to support, somebody like Digital Eclipse or New Blood, in a way I'm okay with that, but I really, both of those companies, New Blood and Digital Eclipse, are just doing such phenomenal work that I will be pissed if this buyout, and let's say like a year from now, they're like, it's not working out as much as we want. We're just going to close them or we're going to interfere so that they can't do what they're really good at. Because how many times have we seen that? I mean, even we've got companies like Monolith and Raven that did awesome first person shooters in the 90s, early 2000s. And now they're just a cog in the AAA machine, turning out Call of Duty and other AAA nonsense that's just, it just sucks. Um, so I have mixed feelings on it. Like, it kind of makes sense, Atari buying out Digital Eclipse and stuff like that, but I just don't want anything bad to happen to them because, again, Night Dive, New Blood, Digital Eclipse, like these three companies are just doing amazing work in like remasters, um, remakes, retro collections, preserving all this great stuff. Um, they're three of my favorite companies right now, and I just want them to be able to keep doing what they're doing and doing it well. So I hope this works out. Like I said, of course, Microsoft, that whole buyout is done. I've already talked about those. I've already talked about that and the pluses and minuses and concerns. I really do hope that they are able to resurrect some of these older Activision franchises. You know what? Hey, bring back, and we got Blizzard, Activision Blizzard. Let's do some new rock and roll racing, man. Hell yeah, bring it on. I would love that. Bring on some Heretic, some Hexen. Um, I mean, go back. I mean, there's all kinds of older Activision stuff from like the 90s and whatever. So maybe some of that will hit Game Pass. Who knows? But so yeah, I just wanted to touch on that because, like I said, Digital Eclipse, awesome work, and I want them to be able to keep doing it. So yeah, those are some things. All these layoffs and all that. It disgusts me. We have such an awesome year for players, but in a way, it's hard to feel excited about that because all the people who made all these awesome games are just getting absolutely crapped on. So, a huge shout out. I really hope that all these people are somehow able to land on their feet and stay in the industry if they want to, so they can support their families and still do what they love. Because, yeah, I mean, a lot of people want to work in the game industry because they love games, you know. But for an industry like this, like it's supposed to be about fun, you know, they just get crapped on. Um, like I said on Twitter the other day, I'm glad I have my day job, and I'm kind of glad it's not in the gaming industry, just because the volatility of the gaming industry right now is so bad that even if I had a good job, I would kind of be in fear that I could be laid off at any moment, and that job or even that company could just up and disappear. Um, it's rough out there right now, and I really, really hope it gets better next year and beyond. Get some unionizing, get some, I don't know, something has to change. That's all I'm gonna say. But yeah, I mean, speaking of games, this morning the Game Awards just announced all of their category nominees. And again, thinking back to my notepad document of just all the games, I mean, oh my God, how am I going to talk about so many games? I've played so many great games this year. I mean, there's been a couple years in the last couple of years where it's like, there's been some pretty fun games, but nothing that really just stands out. Nothing that really just says, this, yes, this is the game of the year. This is amazing. Everybody has to play it. Um, but this year, there's just too many. Um, and I think some of the ones that even got overlooked, I'm thinking back, like I said, Hi-Fi Rush was earlier this year. Amazing art style, really cool combination of like combat, platforming, rhythm gameplay. There were areas or aspects of the game where I did have a little bit of trouble, but I really, really liked what I've played of the game. I've gotten pretty far into it. Hi-Fi Rush was earlier this year. Hogwarts Legacy was this year. God, that seems like ages ago. Um, that's one that didn't get any nominees at the Game Awards this year. And I know people, again, they're all mad about, the J.K. Rowling stuff, and I get that. But again, um, I think the developers did right by, they have a trans character that was in there that was done respectfully, and they publicly came out and said, hey, we're making this game, but that doesn't mean we support this author, this person's beliefs. And it was just I mean, Hogwarts Legacy was definitely one of my highlights of the year. It was a fun open world game. It treated the source material with a lot of respect. It was fun. I really, really liked, yeah, the missions and the story was fine, but I really just liked being able to walk around and fly around on my broomstick or on my creature and, uh, just explore the castle, walk around and, even finding these little rooms in the castle that were mentioned in the books. Like, oh, I found that secret entrance to the kitchen. Oh, I found this little closet area that was only mentioned, in one of the books, or, somewhere in Hogsmeade, or just, the amount of little things that are in that game. Um, that was one of the funnest things for me, is just soaking in the world, the attention to detail that game did. And, for being like the wand combat was actually far more actiony and like more fun than I kind of expected it to be. Like you had these different series of spell shortcuts that you could quickly switch to, and it was really cool. Yeah, Hogwarts Legacy was great. And speaking of games that did not get mentioned, but that I've been kind of obsessed with over the last couple of weeks, RoboCop Rogue City did not get any mentions at the Game Awards, but if you are a fan of the RoboCop movie or the original RoboCop trilogy, um, and especially if you like first-person shooters or action games, I I absolutely recommend this game. Like you have to play this game if you can see well enough to play it. I have now that I recorded the video like a week and a half ago, and I was a good way into the game, but I have beaten the main story now, and so I've gotten all the way through it, and I will say from start to finish, um, definitely one of my top games of this year. Like as much as I love the original RoboCop movie, um, it just has like it respects the source material, the amount of attention to detail that they have for the police station, the OCP building. You get to see. You can walk around like the lobby. You can go around like with the actual boardroom where Ed 209 just completely obliterates Kenny. Um, like just all these different places from the movies. Just like, oh yeah, we can go there or the quarry. You actually get to go to the place where Alex Murphy just got massacred by Bodiger and his gang. There's literally the chalk outline on the ground of where his body lied. Um, all the characters that you meet, they're all there. Lewis, the chief, the old man. We've got some new characters that were not bad. They probably could have been a little bit better. They're not near as conniving and as evil as some of the villains in the first movie. Like of course Clarence Bodiger, but even all the people at OCP, Dick Jones. Um, oh, I just went stupid. What is his name? Uh, the guy that did the RoboCop program. You're going to be a bad motherfucker. Just really memorable villains. The game really didn't quite get there with their villains, but the shooting, the level design, the RPG mechanics, the character dialogue, the levels, just being able to stomp through an environment, picking off dudes like you've seen in the action scenes of the movie, literally picking up computer monitors and chucking them at enemies, picking up enemies and throwing them out of a window. Because God knows in the first RoboCop movie, one of the recurring themes was throwing people through glass. The best Miranda rights reading ever. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you can say. Just like 3-4 times, just right through windows. It was great. I mean, there's just all that attention to detail. Exploring downtown, like just being able to interact with some of the townspeople, do some of these side quests, even just like mundane work. It's really funny when RoboCop is at the front desk of the police station and meeting people, meeting citizens, and like typing into the computer, like, oh, let me look up this person that's missing. Um, there's just so many little things about it. Just they keep a lot of the satire, they keep a lot of the humor. Um, I know I've been talking about this game a lot on Twitter and a lot on video, but damn man, I've wanted a good RoboCop game for years, and we finally got one. My real biggest complaint is that there's not a new game plus. And I wish they had multiple profiles and or a new game plus, because I would go back in and play again and see if there's anything that I missed. But I really want a new game plus, because then I could keep all my upgrades and I could just continue to upgrade my character and make Murphy even more badass. And that's when I'm looking on Twitter now that I've beaten the game. Um, that's what everybody is saying. It's like, man, this game is so good. Give us a new game plus so we can continue to play. I wish to God it had more in the way of accessibility, especially with the way some of the mechanics, if they had like a lock-on system and a general like navigate to said waypoint and menu narration, like if they had those three things in there, this game could be largely blind playable. I mean, especially with the way that RoboCop, you can't jump, you're walking, and even your run is fairly slow. So like yeah, if they would add those like three things, menu narration, um some navigation assist for like waypoints and stuff, and maybe like a, it's already tied into the targeting. Like when you kind of lock on and you see that little crosshair and then the enemies are highlighted, if there was like a snap to aim, like a snap aiming system or something, yeah, this game could totally be made blind playable, I think. Like I said, they're a smaller developer, so whether they have the budget for anything like that. But yeah, I really wish it would, because as a RoboCop fan, I'm so happy we got that. And we got the RoboCop or RoboDoc documentary this year. You can buy it on Blu-ray or whatever, but you can also just watch it. You can get the digital version on Amazon Prime Video. If you want to learn like some really deep stuff about like the first movie, they're still working on the parts for two and the second and third movies, but like if you want like about a 4 hour deep dive into the first movie, well worth it. Um, it's been a great year for RoboCop. Um, like I said, there's so many other games I haven't even played. I got Hot Wheels Unleashed 2. I really love the first game. Um, and the second one sounds even better. So that's on my playlist. I got to try. Again, I want more fun arcade racing games, so that's great. Um, I said I mentioned those games earlier, Baldur's Gate or the Met game. I just went dumb again. What was it? Well, whatever, the Met game, Armored Core. I'm Even though again the game is probably going to be pretty difficult, like I kind of want to see it because it sounds like mechs are cool. It'd be fun to try that. Um, but yeah, I mean, so it's been one heck of a year. We got the developer stuff, but like we've had so many great games to play. Accessible games, we've got a lot of those. We got MK1, we've got Forza. I did get a code for Street Fighter 6. I will try to cover that game sometime in the near future. I've played it a bit, and I have mixed feelings because, yes, there are some accessibility features in there. Like there are some extra audio cues during fights for blind players, which is appreciated, which is good. And there's button remapping, and there's a fair few accessibility features, but there's no menu narration. And the story mode, essentially, there are some voice acted cutscenes, but the vast majority of like when you walk around and you talk to characters in the city, um, it's all text, and there's really not there's not like a good background um, behind the text, so it's a little hard to read visually. And it feels so lifeless. Like you have this kind of neat open world. And I love the fact that you can just basically walk up to anybody in the open world and just be like, "Hey man, let's fight." And then you're fighting like these old ladies and teenage kids and just these businessmen in suits. It's hilarious. But at the same time, it feels so lifeless just because everything is just text and just kind of meh presentation. Um, so yeah, I have mixed feelings on Street Fighter 6. And to wrap up the video, I do want to mention the Game Awards because, as I said earlier, they just announced the nominees. If you go to thegameawards.com right now, you can vote. Um, for the the users or the players nominees. You can vote for your favorite in all the categories that they announced. And really, for the most part, I would say there weren't really many surprises in most of the categories. All of the games that were nominated, I kind of expected them to be there. Especially your big AAA games. Um, it was pretty much what I expected. There were a few categories that recognized indie games or games for change. I think it was the games for change one. I think I only recognized one of the games in that category. I don't even think I've heard of the other like four of them. So that's cool that they got a mention. But I think there were a couple of snubs, and honestly, the main snubs that I will mention are in the innovation and accessibility category. And I should also just disclaimer here. For the past since 2020, I have been a jury member for the innovation and accessibility category. So I have gotten to do my votes for not for all the categories, but just for the innovation and accessibility category. And that's been really cool. And again, we've had so many games this year that have done some great things in accessibility. So obviously we can't nominate them all. But I do disagree with I mean, I partially disagree with some of the nominees here. So in the innovation and accessibility category, I'm trying to see if I can remember this off the top of my head or if I have to go to my phone real quick for Twitter. It was Mortal Kombat 1, Forza, Hi-Fi Rush, Spider-Man, and Diablo 4. Yeah, I think that's all of them. So, Mortal Kombat, Forza, Diablo, no problem. I'll admit, I voted for those. Those were in my list. Again, Street Fighter 6, I already talked a little bit about, but maybe it's because, for other disabilities, they have some stuff in there. And blind players, even if, you don't have menu narration, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, just fighting games in generally are inherently, at least at some level, accessible to blind players. And a lot of people have been looking forward to Street Fighter 6. That's fair. But I I will admit I did not vote for that because, as I said earlier, there's no menu narration. When you have things like even Mortal Kombat 11 started it, and then Mortal Kombat 1 not only had it at launch, but post-launch, they have improved menu narration. The invasion mode that didn't originally speak is largely fixed now. Largely, a lot of those things are now spoken. I really, really need to get back into Mortal Kombat and play more Invasion. And there's just other little things about Street Fighter 6 that I am frustrated about relating to accessibility. And I kind of disagree with Spider-Man because, yes, there are some accessibility features and design in that game. And yes, the developers have said that, hey, in December, around December, hopefully, there will be additional accessibility features like audio description for cutscenes and menu narration. Very, very much welcome. But those, especially like those features are coming after technically when games can be nominated. So those are things that are coming that would be eligible like next year. And like Brandon pointed out in one of his articles when the game came out, It's great that you have audio description. It's great that you have menu narration. But in a big old open world game, like, menu narration is great to have. Yes, that's amazing. But rather than audio description, I that won't do me any good as a blind player if I can't get around the environment to play the game. So I think before you go to audio description, there needs to be make sure that blind players can navigate to mission objectives, side quest, collectibles, you know, get through these different things in the environment, and then you can look at audio description because, again, if I can't get to the story beats to trigger the accessible cutscenes, well, then the accessible cutscenes don't do me a lot of good, now do they? If I can't, so I get his point. So I will just say, like I said, the three that I agree with, Forza, Diablo, and Mortal Kombat 1, totally agree with those. But I would substitute Spider-Man and Hi-Fi Rush. I don't know. Yes, there were some things that helped you get through quick times, which was very helpful because I found actually some of those rhythm quick times for some of the boss fights to be rather obnoxious, actually. Um, so there were things in Hi-Fi Rush that were helpful for accessibility, but Hi-Fi Rush and Spider-Man, I would omit those, and instead I would easily replace them with Stories of Blossom and Brock the Investigator. That would be my nominees. It would be Brock the Investigator, um, Stories of Blossom, Forza, Mortal Kombat, and Diablo. That would be my 5. And choosing between those, oh man, I don't know. Oh God, I don't know what I would choose out of those 5 because they're all like, I've always wanted to play Diablo, but there's just so much text and stats and just nonsense that was so tedious for me. So I got really sucked into Diablo this summer, and if it wouldn't have been for the glut of games that have been coming out, I would have continued playing it more. I will come back to it, I swear. Um, Forza, an actual mainstream simulation, like hardcore simulation racing game, is blind playable. The amount of depth and replayability and complexity to a game like that to make that work, that could easily win. Mortal Kombat, having the move list, all the menu narration, like all the stuff that was sort of like the tutorials, the training modes. We complained about that in MK11, and now all of that stuff is just there. It's great. Again, that could easily win. Um, but then, Brock the Investigator, um, combination point and click and beat 'em up. Not many point and click of our click games are accessible right now, and we got to beat 'em up to boot. It is the only real true blind accessible game on the Switch, if you choose that platform. Not to mention all the other platforms it's on. Not just blind accessibility, but just other accessibility features in general for that game. All by I don't remember if it's just one guy. I think it largely is. Mad respect for that game. Stories of Blossom. Again, another point and click adventure game that is, it's done extremely well. It's just super graphical, but it's extremely playable for blind players, young and old alike, new and experienced gamers alike. The audio description, the ease of playing the game, it's got simple controls, so even if somebody had like a mobility impairment besides, you can just literally move left and right between the options and hit A to activate them or to get around the interface. Very large text, low vision friendly. And we know that company is committed to accessibility in their future games. So really looking forward to seeing what they create next. But yeah, so all the other categories, like it's funny though, like all of the esports gamers and stuff, I don't know who any of those people are. It's so funny. Like every year yes, I follow gaming a lot, but I don't follow like multiplayer games and all that scene at all. Like, so I have no idea who any of that is. But all the other categories, that's about what I expected. Honestly, the biggest surprise was the innovation and accessibility category for me, because I did not expect Street Fighter 6. And I kind of didn't, and I didn't expect Spider-Man, because like I said, yes, there are some nice accessibility features in the game that I covered already, and there's going to be more that's going to be added later this year, but they're not there yet. I can't evaluate something that's not there yet. So, again, huge shout out to the Stories of Blossom team, huge shout out to Brock the Investigator team. I didn't forget about you. And yeah, so that's really what I wanted to touch on for this video. Good thing I waited until the Game Awards announcements, because then I could talk about that. But yeah, that is November's kind of update. From here on, I'm just gonna try to keep reading, keep drumming, keep playing some games, relax a little bit. Getting a few days off for Thanksgiving next week, so I'm very much looking forward to that. And I'm just going to try to kick back and chill and do some prep figure out exactly what I'm going to do for December 10th for Doom's 30th, and start thinking about stuff for the end of year wrap-up series, because boy howdy, there's going to be a lot to talk about this year. With that, we'll wrap it up here. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Give it a like if you did. Follow me on Twitter at BGFH79, twitch.tv/illegally-cited, illegally-cited.com, and right here on YouTube. Oh, you know what? Scratch that. I have one more thing I must talk about. How did I forget that? Duh! Little last minute recent announcement this week. Was not expecting it at all. But god dang it, it's hard to resist. Steam Deck OLED model. I just noticed they had this For You feed that's new on the top of my channel here. And I looked at it and went, oh, yeah, look at they're highlighting my Steam Deck video. RoboCop. Turtles. Heck yeah, those are some great For You videos. But I love my Steam Deck. But like even the Switch. I debated getting the OLED Switch. But then I had a friend who bought my original LCD Switch. And I'm so glad I bought the OLED version, because like for low vision especially, just the colors, everything pops out more. It's like so much more vivid. Um, and from everything that I've been reading about the Steam Deck OLED, it's not just the screen. Like it goes from like a 7-inch to a 7.4-inch because of thinner bezels. So you even get a tiny bit more bigger screen. You get a bigger, quieter fan. There's more storage options, so I can get up to a terabyte now. Battery life, they said, what did they say? Like around 30, depending on how you use it and what settings you do. If you're playing a AAA versus like a smaller indie game that's not as taxing, you can get anywhere from like 30 to 60% more battery. And that is one of my big complaints about the original Steam Deck, is that like it's awesome, but the battery life is just, it just sucks the battery pretty bad. Um, and it's a slightly bit lighter. Especially if I had somebody I knew who would maybe buy the original from me. I mean, I don't need the Steam Deck OLED. There's no new processor. It's not like there's more RAM or anything. Although I did hear they upped the type of RAM, so it's like a faster, what is it, like DDR5 RAM or something like that, that even does help. So between the cooling and the battery and the faster RAM, the more storage, and of course the sharper LED screen, it's not you can't pre-order it on the Steam client yet. I think it's on like the 17th that you can pre-order it or something. I'm trying to resist. I really, really am, but it's really hard. It's really hard. I really do want to play it. So yeah, especially if I can find a buyer for my original Steam Deck, I would love to get the OLED version, because Valve said also that they're probably about 2 to 3 years away from whatever their next Steam Deck is going to be, because they want to make sure that they do a big jump in hardware and performance before they release another more updated version. So yeah, I don't know. Will I resist or will I be weak? Will I have a Steam Deck OLED review in the next month? Who the frick knows, man? Who knows? But I will say it's not out of the realm of possibility. So, with that, we will wrap up the video. Give it a like if you did. Follow me on Twitter at BGFH79, twitch.tv/illegally-cited, illegally-cited.com, and right here on YouTube. Until next time, I will chat with everyone again later.